You call Manfred Fred?
Sure. He walked into my office. I said, Fred, can I call you Fred? He nodded. He seemed happy about it. If he doesn't like it...
Oh, Manfred doesn't mind. He quite likes you. Does the diminutive imply a certain level of comfort with the necromantic arts?
It shows a certain level of comfort with your friend. The rest of it, well, that depends.
On what?
On what the mage using it is up to. So, necromancy's your calling?
Like most Navaran mages. I hope it's not a concern.
We'll find out.
Your own practice. Your work must find you in dangerous corners. Your experience with blood magic.
Do you want to know if I've tried it myself?
Well, in so many words.
Never have, never would. You know, Emmrich, when a necromancer moves in, I thought we might get undead bursting through the floor. But you keep things quiet, and Fred's a good neighbour.
You'll have to forgive my own worries. All I've read of Tevinter...
I can respect the wariness.
What is it like, Neve, using your magic to uncover wrongs in Minrathous?
You don't need magic for that. Just turn over a rock.
It all sounds so thrilling. Belara was showing me some articles about your work.
Those rags?
Yes, let's see. There was the Cordellan Caper, the mystery of the heir of Voldorma.
You can only trust one word in 5 in those papers. Emmrich, you and Rook visit the necropolis lately?
Yes, I've been showing Rook around. Yes, I thought Rook might like to see home again.
That have anything to do with the fancy dinner menu Manfred showed me?
He took... of course, those gilded edges.
The dinner was very romantic.
That's sweet. You two have fun.
Neve, I recently inspected a few charms I picked up in Minrathous. Half of them were imitations.
Let me guess. Lency? Red booth, plaque with a black snake?
That's the man. I'd have noticed if I'd looked right away, but, well, I thought mages were respected in Tevinter.
Sorry, Emmrich. Someone's always willing to take a chance.
How can peddling fake charms be allowed in Minrathous, Neve?
Who's going to stop it?
But no one can sell enchantments in Navarra without a license and strict inspections from the mage circles.
Huh. A whole system of paying attention.
You mean Tevinter doesn't regulate? But the danger to the public!
And you wonder why I'm busy. So, Emmrich, I dropped in on that merchant who sold you fake charms.
Oh.
Funny thing is, Lency's a wreck. Says he's been seeing and hearing things. Skeletal faces at the window. Spirits whispering his false goods endanger lives.
Doubtless nightmares of a guilty conscience.
Sure. If I can make it stop, he'll go back to selling linen.
Then I'm sure it shall.
About my question earlier, Emmrich. You can't tell how long a body's been dead by how cold it is.
There's too many interfering factors and variables.
So that journal I showed you...
The time of death couldn't be pinpointed based on temperature, no.
Thanks. There's a shadow dragon I want you to meet. Questioning spirits. Does it matter how long the corpse has been a corpse?
Time is a factor, but not necessarily a limiting one.
Right. And condition?
Another factor. Are you interested in the theory?
No, the practical.
Who do you have in mind?
There's a case. I've got a lead. I'm not sure yet, but I'll get back to you.
Any time. Neve, you're well connected in Minrathous.
I'm connected. Whether it's well connected depends on who you ask.
Of course. It's just that I'm running low on a few key reagents, and Myrna's had trouble procuring them as well.
I probably know someone.
Wonderful. Thank you.
The smuggling fees might even be fair. So, Veilguard.
Yes?
Quite the character.
Some abuses of magic are so cruel, the people must be reassured that transgressions will never be tolerated. Veilguard tends to these matters.
That'd do the trick.
Neve, your notes on Tevinter protection ward rituals were enlightening, although I imagine there must be a step between initialization and overlaying the secondary wards.
Sure, but that step's a formality. You can shortcut it.
There's intrinsic mimetic value in the formality.
There's value in finishing a job quickly before the blood mage kills you.
Well, yes, I suppose.
If my version scares you, you should ask Balara for hers. I read that book you lent me, Emmrich. Seemed more like poetry than spell instructions.
Well, that's the aim of the Litany of the Buried, to induce a meditation and manifestation of the soul. In practical terms, it better aligns oneself with the Fade before casting.
Well, the magic I tried afterward did flow pretty quick.
A package of Brinlaw curled leaf arrived for me in Navarra the other day.
Some kind of tea?
Oh, it has a wonderful fragrance, crisp and cool, silver rain on a mountainside. If you'd ever like to try a cup.
Nothing's wrong with how I make coffee.
I didn't say so.
Right, never.
Some mortal pleasures are lost on me now. It'd be a pity to let them go to waste. What was that fruit we had yesterday, Neve? I've never tasted anything like it.
Pineapple? You can get it anywhere in Minrathous.
Delicious, and such a sun-bright yellow. The lights in Minrathous, the level of enchantment for such casual applications, it's a wonder.
It's a party trick.
Those outside the Imperium beg to differ. That quality and duration. I've never seen anything quite like the turquoise light in that one market. Perhaps the owner...
Don't go after the turquoise.
I'm sorry?
The owner's got the only turquoise hue in the city. You start asking around, he'll make sure you stop. Permanently.
Ah, I'll admire from afar.
Emmrich, that Venatori recruiter we stopped in Navarra City. Can't get over people cheering in the street after we took down her demons.
They'd do the same for you in Docktown.
Not a cheering sort of place. And forget about them bowing. How mages treat people in Navarra sounds too good to be true.
We've our own tragedies. Mages who instigate trouble for their own profit, but they're often found out. And seen to.
Can't see that into Vinter's future.
The Shadow Dragons do, and you've joined them.
I'm a sucker, that's all.
You? Come on.
We'll see.
You mean we're suckers?
Right.
That's not true.
Well, count on you for the sweet talk, right? Emmrich, how familiar are you with Tevinter's swear words?
I wouldn't say I'm fluent.
Right. So if Fred says, Venhidus, I didn't teach him that. I just spilled my damn coffee.
Oh dear. Do you hail from Minrathous, Neve?
Born and raised.
I've a question for you about Minrathous, Neve.
Do you?
I've heard its mage circles are the strongest in Tevinter.
So they claim.
One does hear things, boasts about particular methods and so on.
Funny. We hear the same about Navarra. So, Emmrich, you want to know about Minrathous funeral feasts?
Specifically Docktowns. The Watchers know what Minrathous nobility would prepare, but we're less informed about how common folk fate their dead.
I'll take notes at the next funeral. Another day, another dozen problems.
Or opportunities to brighten things.
6 of 1, Professor.
I'm going to regret not doing my morning stretches.
Never skip stretching.
I've been meaning to ask if you've ever seen that extraordinary statue of Faustina in Minrathous.
Someone's been visiting the fancy part of town.
My dear Neve, I had to see it. Faustina's song is one of the greatest romantic epics of the Steel Age.
People read that outside Tevinter.
More than one epitaph in the necropolis bears a phrase from the poem.
Still can't figure why that Tevinter poem's so popular in Navarra.
Faustina's song is a beautiful ode not only to romance, but all shades and forms of love.
Flip side of death.
The measure by which we hold things dear against it.
Hezenkos. I've seen the type. Dangerous and damn slippery about it.
You're right. She held such promise. I only wish, but wishing for the alternative, you'd find that naive.
Can't say it changes things. Can't change that you were friends once, either. And for that, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Neve.
Emmrich, when you catch up to Hezenkos, just know where your exits are. Sometimes you think you've got someone backed into a corner, and you find yourself there instead.
Speaking from experience?
Too much of it.
I'm sorry. And the advice is well taken. I wanted to ask, Neve, you had your concerns about me at first.
A few.
But not Manfred?
What can I say? He's a good egg.
Quite right.
What can I say? He was a good egg.
Yes, he was, and still is, just not with us. How goes your search for Aelia, Neve?
She knows how to stay out of sight.
Caution is paramount when hunting down a blood mage.
Aelia's not the first I've dealt with, but she's the nastiest.
In all Minrathous? If I can help.
I'll let you know. Thanks.
You seem surprised Navarra holds mages to different standards than Tevinter, Neve.
We don't hold mages to much at all.
Our people respect us for keeping malign spirits at bay and tending to the dead. A mage's conduct must honour that respect.
Sure. But who's got an eye on you?
Those who came before us.
Right. Should have guessed. Funny thing about Navarra's mages. You have a lot of influence, but don't run things directly like Tevinter mages.
Politicking happens nonetheless. How anyone untangles that procession of nobles and favours is beyond me.
Must be intimidating if you grew up on the poor side.
What? How did you...
You've done well for yourself since.
However did you deduce I came from poor circumstances as a child, Neve?
You always finish your plate, always first to meals. You're covered in gold, but save all your candle stubs. You give more money than a noble would to beggars and street urchins. And you look them in the eye. A nice word, no flinching. Poor's familiar.
Not for quite some time, but yes.
Look, Emmrich, I wasn't trying to pry before about where you came from.
I don't speak of it often, but I'd never deny it. Besides, I asked about your methods. You've quite an eye for detail.
I just notice things. This girl I was sweet on in Ducktown always saved her candles like you do. I bought her a little oil lamp.
How lovely.
Didn't burn forever, but it was nice while it did.
Where is that song from, Neve?
Oh, for one of Cedar Siconia's. Must have liked it more than I thought.
I'll never become accustomed to how quickly the weather changes outside Navarra.
Seems normal to me. But then the necropolis doesn't see much sky.
Oh, the travel's been delightful, but also a touch damper than I'd anticipated. Solus's records on the Fade. It's the most extensive collection I've seen on the topic. But when it comes to the inner depths, it's still theory. There's nothing concrete. It's fascinating.
I'll take your word for it.
You're not curious?
I've got enough mysteries on our side of the veil. I found Fred staring at a wall yesterday.
Oh, that's nothing to worry about. The dead often occupy themselves with contemplation.
Maybe. Or something caught his interest.
We may never know all the lighthouse's mysteries.
For all we know, this place fabricates new ones just to spite us.
Wouldn't that be fascinating?
That's one word for it. So, Hezenkos, a weight off your conscience.
Oh, a great relief. That plan of hers to scourge Navarra.
A real charmer.
And Aelia? Is she a weight off yours?
It's getting there.
I'm sure you'll find a way to rout Aelia.
Yeah, that's the job. But we know how those go.
Docktown feels brighter these days.
With Aelia gone, the place got a weight off its shoulders.
That man down there with the fish stall offered me a meal the other day.
So you charmed Halos?
Not exactly. His words were, for any friend of Neve's.
Well, nice of him.
I thought so too.
You try his fish?
I took a plate of fried leeks and potatoes. Quite good, actually.
You read the papers? There's already gossip about Rana and I on a case.
Well, you have been running all those advertisements.
Rana's idea.
And has her assistance lightened your burdens?
We're splitting scandalous mentions in the papers.
Ah.
All right. A few things got a bit easier. Got some news following our chat with the skull.
Good news?
The Shadow Dragons made contact with Rufus, that mage trying to escape his family. He's safe, and the family's tangled up in scandal and accusation. Funny how that happened.
What a relief.
Isn't it? Might even get some sleep tonight.
Neve, I read an article about the Varanus family scandal.
Minratha's paper's just getting that now?
Yes. And they called you a Docktown dirt chaser and only referred to me as a sinister foreign necromancer.
We got off easy.
Sinister? Really?
Neve's right. The Minrathous Herald called the Shadow Dragons traitors to the Empire.
And that was on a good day. One time, the Minrathous Herald said I should be exiled.
The nerve!
Didn't stick.
Your friend Rana actually left the Templars?
Doesn't happen as much in Navarra.
Not at all. I'm sure Rana's assistance in handling your cases will be most helpful.
I've got a system for sorting all my papers, Emmrich.
You have?
Now you sound like Rana.
So, young Lord Parvis will be leading the charge in Minrathous. You'll need a clear heart for what comes next.
He'll need sharp wits. Of course, he has those too, and he'll tell you so himself.
As I recall. You seem apprehensive about my lichdom, Neve. Can I alleviate any particular concerns?
All right. It took a lot of power to grant you this. How much power will 2 lifetimes give you? What about 10?
Aha. So it's my inevitable corruption you fear.
Some avoid it. But for eternity?
Lichdom's privileges demand dedication and service in return. I would not be as I am were my devotion less than absolute.
You say that now.
Will I ever convince you, Neve, that lichdom can be a force for good?
Emmrich, you'll give it your best shot. And if you ever decide to become an evil, undead immortal, just wait until after I'm dead. So, Emmrich, since you became a lich, you can cast the same spell, but the signature, the energy to it. It's subtle, but it's changed.
Has it? How fascinating!
Thought you'd like that. Don't say I never get you anything.
There's a paper in this. We should discuss the theory further.
Don't make me regret telling you.
If we begin now, we might have something for next spring.
All right, Emmrich. Let's hear it.
Beg pardon?
That particular worried look? It started when I took over the threads.
A temporary alliance was one thing, but taking over leadership of those criminals?
You've seen what the law is worth in Minrathous.
It's not their legality that worries me.
You're still bothered about the threads.
I don't doubt you've imposed limits, or that some threads are trustworthy. But what of the future?
You mean what happens when I tell someone no, when there's profit to be made from a yes? It's a tightrope, but the threads are loyal to Docktown, including its safety. Nothing shakes that. It's the only reason I'd take the risk, but it's a damn good one.
So it is.
I've heard of keeping enemies close, but hasn't cost.
It seemed best she not disturb the others. Where she is must do. What power Elganon displayed at Arlathan! How smoothly he commanded the will of hundreds at once!
If Alia's been kissing up to a god, it's that one. Venatori in his pocket and now an archdemon. Can't say I like where this is going.
You and Belara cut through his enchantment.
Yeah. Lucky he didn't know we were there. Can't count on it twice.
We'll find something new.